Mellow Beats, what you think?
What is up, guys? In today's video, we will be talking about former Gonzaga star Nigel Goss and why he's failed to make it in the NBA so far. If you love college basketball, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and if you enjoy these type of videos, be sure to check out my playlist of them down in the description below. Now let's get started. Nigel Goss was born and raised in Happy Valley, Oregon, and grew up playing basketball all the time. Nigel said he knew he wanted to play basketball for a living since he was 8 years old, and he committed 110% to the game. He was a nationally ranked 5th grader and began receiving private training from a prestigious trainer who helped develop players like Terrence Jones and Mike Moser. Nigel became the youngest player he had ever continuously trained, and he knew the kid was going to make it big. Since he was shorter than most other basketball players, Nigel put his body to the test and learned how to score around the rim even though he was undersized. He had his options for high school, but he eventually took the prep school route and settled for the prestigious Findlay Prep School in Las Vegas. He was now becoming a national name on the recruiting trail, and he had his options, but he already knew where he wanted to go. He committed to play for Lon Kruger at UNLV, but when he left for Oklahoma, Nigel decided it was best to examine his options once again. He took a few visits, but he eventually decided to stay in the Pacific Northwest and play for Washington. As a recruit, Nigel was a McDonald's All-American, number 33 overall recruit, and the number 7 point guard in the nation. Washington's coach was Lorenzo Romar at the time, and he was a gem for their recruiting class. He joined a roster that included CJ Wilcox, Andrew Andrews, and Paris Blackwell. Goss would go on to start at point guard and give his best effort to lead the Huskies to the NCAA tournament. Things did not start out well as the Huskies lost 3 of their first 5 games, but Nigel established himself as the second scoring option on the team. Washington went into Pac-12 play with a 7-5 record, and hopes of playing in March Madness were already looking bleak. The Huskies became one of the streakiest teams in the country, so they'd win a few games and then lose a few. Something was wrong. Nigel would have his best game of the season against Oregon State, where he would drop 32 points, but the Huskies finished on the season 17-15 and had a first-round exit in the Pac-12 tournament. On the year, Goss started every game, and he averaged 13.4 points, 4.4 rebounds, and 4.4 assists a night, while shooting 46% from the field. His freshman season didn't exactly play out as expected, and there were problems with the team, but Nigel decided to stick it out again. Going into his sophomore season, expectations were on the rise in Seattle, and a big year was expected out of both Goss and the Huskies. They returned Robert Upshaw and Andrew Andrews, and got off to a hot start. The Huskies won their first 11 games, with wins over San Diego State and Oklahoma, and Goss was the team's best player. They ranked number 13 in the country, and the winning that Nigel so desperately craved was happening. Sadly, it didn't last. In fact, it became a disaster. After a puzzling loss to Stony Brook at home, Washington went on to lose their first 3 conference games, then won 3, and proceeded to lose 7 more. They would go on to win 2 more conference games to finish with a 5-13 record in the Pac-12 and a 16-14 overall record. A once promising season had become one of the worst seasons in program history, and Nigel just about had it. He finished the season averaging 15.6 points, 4.7 rebounds, and 5.9 assists a night while carrying his team the entire year. At conclusion of the season, he decided it would be best for him to transfer because he felt like the team had issues and he was tired of losing. I personally don't blame him. He once again kept his options open and was indecisive along the way. He ultimately decided to stay in state and transfer to Gonzaga. He said he liked the winning culture, Mark Few's ability to develop players, and the fast-paced offense the team ran. After sitting out a year, he was finally able to suit up with his team in 2016. The Bulldogs returned President Karnowski, Jonathan Williams III, Jordan Matthews, and former Portland native Silas Melson. Gonzaga began the season ranked number 14 and got off to a 12-0 start before conference play with wins over Florida, Iowa State, Arizona, Tennessee, and his former school, Washington. He dropped 23 points against the Huskies and had one of the best shooting days of his career. The Zags were undefeated again, and it was deja vu for Goss, but Gonzaga wouldn't dare put him through something like that again. They continued to win in conference play, and he put up a new career high of 36 points against San Francisco. Zags continued to dominate and won their first 17 West Coast Conference games. They would finally lose their first game of the year on the road against BYU. They would storm through their conference tournament and become a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. They defeated South Dakota State in the first round, spoiled Northwestern's first tournament appearance, and hung on to beat West Virginia to advance to the Elite 8. Goss had dreamed of playing for a winning team and competing for a championship, and it was now finally happening. The Zags would defeat Xavier in the Elite 8 and barely beat the Cinderella story of South Carolina in the next round. They were headed to the national championship game against North Carolina. The game was close to the very end, and Goss had taken control in the last 5 minutes, and they found themselves trailing with 3 with just over 20 seconds to play. Goss got the ball with a chance to tie, but he drove to the basket and was blocked. North Carolina won the game, and Gonzaga's miracle season was over. As expected, this hit Nigel hard, but he had an extraordinary junior year. He averaged 16.8 points, 6 rebounds, and 4.7 assists a night while shooting 48.6% from the field. He was named the WCC Player of the Year and was a member of the Academic All-America team. After careful consideration, Goss decided to leave for the 2017 NBA Draft. Scouts saw a lot of good in Goss, but his lack of speed, explosiveness, and height made many scouts feel weary of drafting him high. He was projected to be a second-round pick, and that came true as he was drafted with the 55th overall pick by the Utah Jazz. Despite playing well in the Summer League, Goss was not signed by the Jazz and proceeded to sign an overseas contract with the Serbian team I'm not even going to try to pronounce. He went on to have a really good year with the team and led them to win their league cup, and he was named the MVP. Because of that, he was signed by the EuroLeague team Olympiacos. That did not last long as the Utah Jazz took notice and signed him. So far, he has struggled in the NBA, as he's only played in 7 games and has yet to score a basket from the field. Overall, Nigel Goss succeeded in both basketball and in life. He was told he was too short, and no one thought he would ever make it to the NBA. He proved he didn't need height, and proved he could make his dream come true. He got a chance to be part of one of the winningest teams in college basketball history, and got to participate in a national title game. It seems that playing overseas may be his best option, but he's still holding out hope of making it in the league one day. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you did, make sure to hit that like button, and I'll hopefully see you guys again soon. Peace.